the Doctor is in, your daily guide to virtual care in this time of COVID-19. I am Dr. Freddie Gomez, and we're looking forward to answering your many questions over the next half hour. So, as alam naman natin ngayon lahat na restrictions have eased with the general community quarantine and so many Filipinos are heading back to work. But returning to work during a pandemic comes with a new set of challenges dahil nandyan pa rin ang banta ng COVID-19. Araw-araw ngayong GC. So malaking factor ito sa stress at anxiety ng mga tao. So in today's episode, we will discuss the difficulties workers face as they brave this new normal. And we'll also talk about solutions on how to best cope with this situation. So to help me understand this topic, to help us understand this topic better, we have with us Dr. Carolina Uno-Rayco. She is the National Executive Director of the Philippine Mental Health Association Incorporated. Welcome to the show, Dr. Carol.
Hi, good afternoon, Doc Freddie.
Yes, Dr. Carol, so we all know GCQ is about us. All of us are trying to get our lives back to normal as it was 2-3 months ago. Kasama na dito ang pagbalik trabaho ng mga tao. So first and foremost,
Yes.
let's discuss what are the main concerns workers could have when braving this new normal.
Oh, yeah. Unang concern na dyan, syempre, yung anxiety of contracting the disease. Syempre, kapag lalo na marami sa ating mga workers ay commuters, so yun nga, yung parang takot na magkaroon sila nito at yung takot na maiuwi ito sa bahay nila at ma-infect din yung kanilang mga family members.
Oh, so that's a definite cause for concern. That's a valid cause of concern. Pero with all of this, we're trying, yung mga workers are trying to adapt to all of this. Paano ito nakakaapekto ng mental well-being ng isang tao?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite get that. Medyo nag-chop ata, Doc Freddie.
Yes, my question was, with all of these guidelines, trying to follow it so as to not contract the virus or even spread the virus, how does all of this affect the mental well-being of a person?
Ay, of course, talagang medyo malaki yung effect niya, especially that they're going back to work. Yung very important yung state of mind ng mga tao. Kapag meron silang ganitong mga takot, syempre nakakaapekto ito doon sa kanilang ability to work efficiently, And pati yung relationship with other people can be affected kasi nga meron silang mga agam-agam o meron silang mga takot, na tungkol dito sa COVID-19, na pwede nilang makuha during the course of their going back to work.
Oh, so Dr. Carol, how does one deal with this? So may stress na sila pagbalik ng trabaho,
Yes.
not just
Yes.
dun sa pinakatrabaho na lang mismo, pero yung pagpunta nila sa trabaho. Because as we all know, commuting in itself is very anxiety-ridden. So how does one deal with the added consideration that they can contract the virus while going to work?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite
Dr.
get
Carol,
that.
are you still
Sorry,
there?
Doc Freddie, ha? Yeah. Yes, but I didn't quite hear your question.
Dr. Carol, my question was, how does a person cope with the anxiety of the commute going to work?
Okay. Actually, employers also have a role in this, both employers and employees should be able to talk about this kasi nga supposedly dapat employers should be able to provide transportation for those workers, who are going to go back to work. In the absence of that, yun nga, itong mga employees natin, sila yung gumagawa ng paraan din, para makapunta. Pero siguro ang pwede nating gawin dito, it really boils down to individual resiliency, ano, yung being able to cope with all of these stresses, no? Siguro yun nga, ang nasa atin ay yung within our circle of control, ano ba yung pwede nating gawin. So we cannot underestimate the importance of yung doing physical distancing, yung preparing ourselves, boosting our immune system, yung always having our ano to, yung hand sanitizers or alcohol with us, yung mga disinfecting solutions para maprotektahan tayo kasi hindi natin din masasabi na yung mga kasama natin na nagko-commute din ay ano to, healthy din sila, no? So within our control, ano yung pwede nating gawin? Yun yung pwede natin sigurong mas i-focus on kesa yung mag-iisip tayo parati ng dapat ganito, dapat ganyan. Mas stress kasi tayo pag ganun.
I agree with that. Self-resiliency and the notion that the only thing that you can definitely control is what is within yourself. So before we continue the discussion, Dr. Carol, if you could help me answer some of the social media questions that we have. Marami na silang nagtatanong.
Okay.
Our first one is from Rafael. Ang tanong niya ay, I've been feeling nervous about returning to work. Can I tell my boss about this?
Okay. Yeah, I think it really depends then on your relationship with your boss, no? Kasi kung okay yung relationship, okay yon, maganda yung open communication lines. In this crisis, very important yung open yung communication lines between employees and employers. So kung masabi niya ito, I hope that the employer will be able to provide some assistance din, no? Or some form of support.
Okay, and we have a second question from David. Meron bang formula para mas maging motivated sa trabaho lalo ngayon na may pandemic?
Mhm. Actually, ang formula yung be good to yourself eh. Kasi parang let's not expect so much from ourselves during this time. Kasi talaga namang we are under an abnormal circumstance. So it's normal not to feel normal. So the best thing that we can do is just yun nga, protect ourselves. And then yung live each day a day at a time. Kasi mahirap yung we expect so much from ourselves tapos wala tayong magagawa masyado kasi nga marami ring limitations. So the best thing really to do is just to keep a positive attitude and do not, do not put so much pressure on yourself at this point.
Okay, that's very good advice, Dr. Carol. And we'll be answering more questions from social media when we return to the break. So, still to come, we will be also discussing emotional stress in the workplace. So, you will want to watch out for that. Stay tuned. The doctor is in on CNN Philippines. We'll be right back. Welcome to The Doctor's In. I'm your host, Dr. Freddie Gomez, and we want to make the most out of your telemedicine appointment today. So please send in your questions, and we will do our best to answer all of them. So thank you very much for joining us. So the threat of COVID-19, coupled with the stress of work, can impact workers emotionally. So with us is Dr. Carolina Uno-Rayco, who is from the Philippine Mental Health Association. She will give us tips as well as answer your social media questions alongside with me. So, Dr. Carol, let's continue the discussion on trying to manage all of this anxiety and stress while trying to get back to the workplace ngayong GCQ na tayo. So, what are some of the signs, Dr. Carol, na meron ng emotional
Signs of emotional distress, no? Well, unang-una na diyan yung difficulty sleeping, no? Tapos yung pati yung sa pagkain affected, yung relationship with people are affected, uh,
Okay, we're having a little trouble with the feed of Dr. Carol. as we try to get Dr. Carol back on the line, let me reiterate how important it is, especially now na GCQ na tayo, na don't expect things to come back right away, parang normal as it was 2-3 months ago. There will be inevitably an adjustment phase. So alam natin na lahat. And sometimes doon sa pag-expect natin na parang balik ulit sa dati like it was 3 months ago, minsan doon napupunta ang anxiety ng tao. So don't expect it to be just like it was before. There will be some adjustments. This is normal, like what Dr. Carol mentioned earlier before the break. Not feeling normal is normal. So aside from that, also basics should always fall into place. Hand washing, and social distancing also. All right, I think we have Dr. Carol back on the line. Dr. Carol? Yes, Dr. Carol, so the question was, what are some of the signs of emotional stress at the workplace?
Hello?
Hello, Dr. Carol. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear us?
Yes. Better.
Great. So, let's continue on with the question of what are some of the signs of emotional stress at the workplace?
Okay. Yeah. At the workplace, yung employees kung emotionally distressed na makikita natin irritable, no? And then affected syempre yung performance, yung expected outputs hindi ma-deliver. And then also in terms of relating with coworkers, what I was trying to say earlier on was that meron tayong sinasabing physical distancing, and that recommended talaga. Pero yung physical distancing need not mean na socially maging distant din tayo. So kung nagpapakita yung tao na parang socially ay ina-isolate na rin niya yung sarili niya, kahit na through social media, hindi na rin siya nakikipag-connect sa ibang tao or through phone, malamang nagkakaroon na ng feeling of, nagkakaroon na ng epekto, no? Yung anxiety and all these fears, no, from COVID-19.
Yes, all of those signs are definitely important. But my question is, Dr. Carol, sinong mag-a-address nito? Because that's very important to address between the employer and the employee. How should this be approached? Let's start first with on the company side or on the employer side. Okay. What can the employer do in order to make this possible, this environment a little bit less anxious?
Yes, thank you for the question. No? Actually, ang ini-encourage talaga is that before the employees even go back to work, meron sanang yung new normal workforce and workplace management plans. Dito sa plans na to, naka-stipulate kung ano yung mga dapat gawin ng employers para to make the environment safe, no, for the employees. Like for instance, yung mga signages about physical distancing, and all of that. Tapos yung ano yung mga protocols, no, na gagawin kapag halimbawa may symptoms ng COVID-19 or related sicknesses, no. So all of these things dapat in place kasi nakakatulong ito para ma-lessen yung anxiety. Kumbaga alam ng employee kung anong i-expect niya kapag bumalik siya sa office o kapag pumasok siya, kasi merong mga structured na, kumbaga. So if we know what to expect, na ma-manage kahit papano yung fears natin or yung anxiety natin in going back to work.
Okay, those are very good, helpful tips for those with businesses and on the employer side of it. Now, it's time to answer some social media questions. We have one from Tisha. Ang tanong niya, for business owners, what should be the protocol when it comes to safeguarding the mental health of their employees?
I'm sorry, Doc Freddie. Can you say that again?
Yes, of course. The question is, for business owners, what should be the protocol when it comes to safeguarding the mental health of their employees? This question was from Tisha.
Okay. For employers, like what I said earlier, importante na yung systems natin in place. sa ngayon na wala pang vaccine or medicine no for COVID-19, importante talaga yung mga minimum health protocols na sinasabi natin ay ma-emphasize, laging i-emphasize ito sa employees, no? Hand washing, yan, yung physical distancing, coughing and sneezing etiquette, even yung kapag halimbawa ay yung pagkain na dapat hindi magkakasabay. So all of these things specifically dapat naka-stipulate, at maganda siguro nakasulat ito, naka-post sa strategic locations doon sa business establishment para nare-remind yung employees natin sa mga dapat nilang gawin.
And our next question is from Lian. What is the best mindset to have so that I don't constantly worry about contracting the virus at work?
Okay. Again, this is we have to strengthen our resilience, no? Yung sarili nating pananaw sa buhay. For every negative thought, dapat merong 3 positive tayong iniisip para makontra natin yung ating mga thoughts that are not helping us, no? So that's something that is very practical and you can do. It's an exercise in positive psychology. Kasi sa ngayon, ang pinakamalaking kalaban talaga natin, aside from the COVID-19, is ourselves, yung takot natin na ma-i-infect tayo. So, yun. And then boost our immune system. Physically and mentally, it is important to prepare ourselves always.
Very good advice. Thank you very much, Dr. Carolina Uno-Rayco, for joining us here on The Doctor's In. Your inputs and tips have been very, very helpful.
Thank you. Thank you, Doc Freddie.
And just ahead, we discuss coping with this new normal. So please stay tuned. The Doctor's In on CNN Philippines. We'll be right back.
You're watching The Doctor's In, and I'm Dr. Freddie Gomez. The threat of COVID-19 brings unprecedented levels of stress and anxiety for many. Pero kahit maraming challenges ang GCQ na ito, importante na ma-handle natin ito ng tama. So we have with us Dr. Sanaiyah Gurnamal, who is a well-being coach and founder of the Third Eye Wellness. She's here to help us understand how we can cope with situations just like what we are in now. Hi, Doctor. Welcome to The Doctor's In.
Hi, Dr. Gomez. It's very nice to be here and to be able to share what I have to say with all the viewers. So thank you for having me.
We're glad you could join us. Now, Dr. Sanaiyah, my question is, how can one mentally and emotionally prepare for something like this, or what everyone's calling the new normal? Especially for workers who have returned to work?
Okay, that's a really good question because it's something that everyone is really dealing with right now. I think one of the best steps is to make sure that you take all the precautions to keep yourself safe. But most importantly, I think that everyone needs to be mentally prepared for this new normal. Now, all of us are coming out of situations that we have been in our homes and we're gonna, be assimilating or transitioning back to regular life. But what is important to understand that this new normal is going to be nothing like the old normal. Now, a lot of us are still very attached to how things were, and we're looking for things to go back to that normal, which no longer exists. So one of the best ways to move forward is to sort of understand that's behind us, that was in the past. And now we need to focus on how we move forward from here. Now, what you can do is definitely make sure that you stay calm and positive, that you're doing the best you can to be emotionally balanced and stable. And there are a variety of different tools and techniques that can help you. I am a strong advocate for meditation. Now, you can go on YouTube, and there are plenty of guided meditations. As a well-being center, we also offer free meditations every Monday. And our goal is to get people really prepared to deal with the challenges that are coming as we go back to work and as we try to go back to some semblance of normal. Of course, there are other techniques that I can also share with you, such as breathing. So taking a breath every time you're anxious, anytime you're getting panicked, anytime you feel like, you're really worried or scared about what comes next, just pause for a minute, take a breath. Okay, and things will be okay as long as you stay in a positive mindset and you prepare yourself for what lies ahead. You will be able to handle it in the best way possible.
Hopefully those tools that you mentioned will be able to make workers or people in general be able to cope with this new normal that everyone's been talking about. Now let's answer some of the social media questions that we have. We have one from Sarina. Her question is, how do I process fear about loved ones who are at higher risk of contracting the virus?
Okay. Now, Serena, at the end of the day, there's nothing we can do in our positions to stop anything that is going to happen in the future. We are limited to what we can control within our own spaces. Okay. Now, every time we're worrying about the people we love, we're actually going through a lot of stress in our own body. Our hormones are kind of going all over the place. They're getting out of balance, and we're feeling fear and stress. What we can do instead is send our family love. If you just close your eyes and you just send them all kinds of positive energy, send them love, send them light, pray that they are protected and safe. So what you're doing is you're channeling your fear mindset into a more positive mindset. And something you can do, and what all of us can do, is really wish and hope for the best. And that in itself will allow us to feel a little bit more comfortable. Every time we're worrying about someone, not only are we disturbing the energy flow in our own body, but we're actually having a negative impact on their life, because our worry energy sort of gets attached to them. And that makes the situation even worse than it could be. Now, instead, if you hope for the best and you stay positive and you use whatever coping techniques that you have at hand, whether you are religious or spiritual, stay in that positive mindset and really just expect that everything is going to be okay.
Staying positive is key. We have another question from Lito. I think this is a good question. He's asking, I find that emotions are contagious. How do I deal with helping friends who are going through anxiety?
Now, Lito, what you must understand is that we're picking up negative emotions from people all the time, but we have the ability to influence them in a positive way. I find that one of the best coping mechanisms for a situation like this is really to look for the positive in the situation. We know that things are different. This is a new normal. But within this new normal, there are many positive things that we can get out of it. For example, I have to work from home. Now, what's the positive in that? It means I get to spend more time with my children. It means I have more time for exercise and to really make sure that I stay in the best of health. It also means that I get to spend a little bit more time in my home. So there's a positive in every negative situation. Now, we can choose to focus on the negative, and we're just going to feel worse. We're going to feel a little bit more anxious about it and panicked, and we're not going to contribute to anyone in a positive way. However, if we can look for the positive and influence other people in the same way. So if somebody comes to you and is complaining or worried or anxious, you can show them that there's something positive that comes out of it. For example, we can focus on the fact that our environment is getting more prosperous due to us being off the streets. Or we can look at what are the positive outcomes of this new normal. Perhaps you get to spend more time with your family. Perhaps you can focus a little bit more on your well-being. There are many good things to look for instead of just worrying about the worst case scenario, which doesn't help anyone. Okay, so influence other people around you positively as you choose to look for the good as well.
Dr. Sanaiyah Gurnamal, thank you very much for joining us here on The Doctor is In. Your inputs have definitely been very enlightening and such a positive feeling and energy from you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And thank you rin sa lahat ng mga nagpadala ng mga tanong. Sana ay nasagot namin ang inyong mga katanungan. Samahan niyo po kami ulit bukas, 3:30 p.m. on The Doctor is In, only here on CNN Philippines. I'm Dr. Freddie Gomez. Stay safe, everyone.